This week in PlayStation, we're talking about a new Tomb Raider game, new Max Payne remakes, and our topic of the show. What are we playing this spring? We'll have all this and more because this is PS I Love You XOXO. Yo, what's up? Welcome to PS I Love You XOXO. I'm one of your hosts, Blessing Adeoye Jr. I'm joined by Janet Garcia, Barrett's on the ones and twos, and remember, this is your PlayStation podcast. Each and every week, we join you to talk about the biggest topics in PlayStation. If you like that, you can watch it live right here as we record on patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames, or you can watch it on Friday when it posts for everyone on youtube.com/KindaFunnyGames, roosterteeth.com, and on podcast services around the globe. Remember, you can use Epic Creator Code KindaFunny on all Epic Store and Epic in-game purchases like Rocket League and Fortnite to help support the channel. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Fargo Brady, Pranksy, Tyler Ross, Delaney Twinning, First Responder ND, Julian the Gluten-Free Gamer, James Hastings, Casey Andrew, and Anonymous. Today we're brought to you by Chime, DoorDash, and Babbel, but we'll babble on about that later. For now, let's start with a PSN message from you. David Mertz writes in to patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames, just like you can, and says, "You've become an IP licensing master working for PlayStation. What movie, TV show, anime, comic, or book do you license for a game, and which PlayStation studio works on it?" Janet Garcia.
So when I first read this, I was like, PlayStation IP licensing master. That's 100% not anyone's job title, I feel like, but let's dream a little bit.
That's basically what Jim Ryan does, I'm sure.
Right? It's like, that'd be a cool job title to have, though. Anyway, it's like literally all you do is you just dream your dreams. Nothing else. I first thought about some comic stuff, even though I'm not the biggest like comic person, but I like a lot of stuff from Image. I used to be heavier into comics like a few years ago, and I want to get back into it. So my first idea is Saga.
That is a thick book.
It's a thick book. If you're a audio listener, it's a thick boy.
This book is like your size.
Yeah, but that doesn't say a lot, though, right? It's like I'm not exactly.
I mean, for a book, yeah, a book to be the size of a human being is a lot.
Yes, but that's always like, are you abnormally small or is the book abnormally large? And it's a little bit of both, right? Mm-hmm. So this is like the full collection of Saga minus the stuff that came out, I think, this year, because I think they came out of hiatus. I love Saga. It's like, sci-fi, very like story-driven, emotional, weird, and I don't know, really like hard hitting, I think, in a lot of ways, and surprising. And I really like this comic. So I'm thinking Naughty Dog or like maybe Housemarque, simply because of the space angle. And then as some zags, Netflix's Love, Death, and Robots is like one of my favorite shows. And it's great if you are someone that has like content commitment issues and you're like, I don't really want to like dig all the way into something, because all the episodes are like 5 to like max 15 minutes. And they're all like weird dystopian trippy things. They all have different art styles. Like Love, Death, and Robots is what I wanted Marvel's What If to be, but like so much better and realized and trippy and weird. And I think Media Molecule would be a fun one for that one, because they're kind of already doing some of that with their ongoing support of Dreams, where they have like these additional updates. Like they had the update that added like the dungeon crawler thing. They're currently working on Tren, which is like a train game within Dreams. So I feel like if you brought like a Love, Death, and Robots series to Dreams through Media Molecule, that would be like kind of an automatic win. You could bring the community and get them involved in like kind of coming up with these little pieces that have some element of a sociological commentary, because it's basically what the show already is. So those are my quick pitches. My work here as IP license master is complete.
It's done. Yeah, here's your $60K a year paycheck for the IP licensing role.
I feel like they could do better. I don't know.
Like we said, it's an easy job. It's like this job doesn't exist.
But if you have the title of master, right? I feel like that deserves.
Master is different from manager or director.
Like the hardest working people get paid the least in our world. Like I want to get paid the most, and people are like, "What do you do here?" And it's like, it's not much, That's the dream.
You want to be John Drake.
Dream.
You want to be John Drake. You want to show up at Disney and be like, "All right,
damn."
I don't know. I don't even know John Drake like that. I don't know why I'm firing random shots at John Drake. But when I think of IP licensing for gaming, I'm like, I'm sure that involves him
weeping, like, oh, I can't wait to listen to one of my favorite hosts. Bless it. And it's like, why?
And how busy could John Drake be? I see him tweeting all the time, and I see him interacting with Greg Miller like every single day. I'm like, if that's the case,
all of us are tweeting all the time. Like our field is the only field where you can't have just Twitter open all the time, and no one's like get back to work. Like this is kind of part of work, but
like we're media, right?
Really.
That's how we get our news, and that's how we interact with the audience. What audience does John Drake have?
Well,
the
he
Star
used
Wars
to have
audience,
you, but probably not anymore.
The Star Wars nerds and the Marvel nerds,
Star Wars
and the
nerds?
Disney nerds, you know.
Yeah, but like they're following John Boyega. They aren't following John Drake. Only 2 people are following John Drake. It's Greg Miller and Andrew Renee, and that's it.
Wow.
He might be following John Drake. I'm gonna look into it. What are you doing as IP?
Well, I want to shout out
$60K a year.
I want to shout out your idea for the Love, Death, and Robots, because that's one that that's a like it's not a deep cut, but it is like it's a cut, right? Like that's not something that first came to mind when somebody would ask like what kind of video game would you want, and I think pairing it with Media Molecule is interesting because like you mentioned how within Dreams they have all these different ideas that they're working on anyway, and like they can kind of translate that versatility to making a Love, Death, and Robots game. I also like the idea of what if you made a Love, Death, and Robots game that was user-created content, where Media Molecule puts out like 10 episodes that they develop themselves, right? Similar to Dreams, where it is like, hey, we have these 10 different experiences. There are these short, bite-sized 30-minute games, and each of them have their different art styles. Each of them have their different characters. They might be connected through like some weird thing, but for the most part, they're the standalone thing, and then you give that to your audience. Like that loosely is kind of what Dreams is, but having it focused on like a singular IP or a singular concept, I think would hone that in a bit more. Where if Media Molecule approaches the community, right, like the Love, Death, and Robots community, and went, hey, we want you to make specifically like these futuristic, weird like stories that are all focused in this specific like either aesthetic or world. I think that's interesting. I don't know. I think there's something there that could be really cool. And so shout out to that. My ideas. I have a couple that I'll shout out, right? Like people, if they've been listening to it for a long time, they've heard my pitch for a Mission Impossible game by Naughty Dog. And so that's my initial pitch. I've always pitched it as something that's like not necessarily Mission Impossible IP, but just an original IP from Naughty Dog that goes for the Mission Impossible thing, the way that Uncharted does Indiana Jones, right? Or Last was just post-apocalyptic. I would like to see Naughty Dog do like a heist game that is about like gadgets and is about like the cool action and all this stuff, because I think that is a nice cool progression from Uncharted, because Uncharted has all those pulpy elements in there as well. But also like if they were to do a Mission, if I was approached as IP master at PlayStation, $60K a year is what I'm making, and they were like, hey, we have the Mission Impossible IP, we can give it to any of our studios, I think the first studio I am saying is Naughty Dog, because I think that fits so well in terms of the one, like the graphical fidelity of their games, right? The presentation, like I want that out of a Mission Impossible game. The action, right? Like they know how to make a third-person shooter. They know how to make action fun. They know how to give you like a nice tool set of weapons and all that stuff to use. Like I think Naughty Dog would knock that out of the park too. But then also just the moment-to-moment of not everything has to be action. Not everything has to be climbing or like, like it's, in Uncharted 4, I think Naughty Dog really honed it in terms of figuring out pacing in a way that makes every moment to moment feel kind of unique from everything else that's going on, where like you have the prison scene and so much of that is just walking around, and then that culminates in like a fist fight, and then you have the climbing stuff, and then you go into the shooting, but then you go into stealth, right? There's so many different pockets of different options they give the players for gameplay, and I think Mission Impossible would work with that really well, where it is, all right, like here's a crazy driving sequence, okay, now you are infiltrating, now it's all stealth for the next 30 minutes. Okay, cool. After that, it is Tom Cruise being repelled down from the ceiling and you having to like go into that gameplay. I think Naughty Dog would absolutely embody that and make the action sequences really pop. And so that's my first one. The other one I'll shout out is I want an Avatar: The Last Airbender game, a good one. I know there have been ones in the past, but I want a good one. And I think Guerrilla could possibly make a good one. The reason I put out Guerrilla is, I think in terms of world and environment design, when I think of Avatar: The Last Airbender, obviously like they go into like their settlements and you hang out in, is it Ba Sing Se? Is that the correct?
There is no war in Ba Sing Se.
There's no war in Ba Sing Se, right? Like you have the settlements, but then you also have a lot of the show taking place in like outdoor areas and forests, and them traveling to smaller areas. And like in terms of visual design, I think Guerrilla would be able to knock that out the park with what they've already done with Horizon Zero Dawn. And then also like just in terms of costumes, set design, like the aesthetic elements of Avatar: The Last Airbender, I think they would be able to do that well. And then in terms of like stuff like combat, I think with what they already have with like the bow and arrow stuff in Horizon Zero Dawn, obviously it's not one for one. There's a lot of difference with how you would go about making the different elements for Avatar: The Last Airbender, but I think there's like a lot of translation between like how there's already the elemental qualities in the weapons in Horizon Zero Dawn. A lot of it I think would be figuring out like, all right, the fire tool set in Avatar would be comprised of, let's say, these 3 or 4 moves, right? And it's all area of effect stuff. It's all like different type of throwable moves. I think Gorilla with Horizon have already messed around with that stuff quite a bit, and I think like the long distance arrow and like I can't name all the weapons in Horizon off the top, but like the spear, like all the different ways.
The slingshot.
The slingshot, all the different ways.
I'm sure it's not just called slingshot.
It's something shot for sure, but like
something. The tripcaster.
The way all these different weapons kind of manifest and have their own different qualities and their own ways of like either trapping an enemy or damaging an enemy, like doing all that stuff. I think you could do a lot of similar things with the Avatar world and like the different elements of, you know, water, fire, earth, you know, all that stuff. And so like I would want them to do it. I think they would knock it out the park. And also like I think they're good enough storytellers to be able to tell a good Avatar story. My one request would be to have folks who worked on Avatar: The Last Airbender, the show, or Korra, right? Like any Avatar franchise thing that's already existed, have them on the team working with Gorilla. I don't necessarily want Gorilla to be maybe Gorilla can make their own interpretation of it, but I think for it to really feel authentic and for it to really shine, you would have to like really collab real hard with the people that have already worked on Avatar. So that would be my pick.
I think too, like you bring up the Avatar note with like Gorilla. I think that makes a lot of sense with seeing like what they did with Forbidden West, because that was basically, you know, Aloy's army, right, as we call it. That's also the structure of Avatar in terms of like
Aang's
a
army.
group of friends that slowly kind of come together for a shared goal. Like it very much fits that note. And then the Mission Impossible thing with Naughty Dog, I think makes sense. I mean, honestly, thinking of this question, I was sort of like re-impressed with Naughty Dog because that was the constant studio that I kept thinking of for like everything. Because I'm like, they can do drama, they can do story, they can do fidelity, they can do like little quick time event sequences. Like I think they have a lot of versatility in what they bring to the table, both when you look at their catalog and also the ways they are unafraid to blend genre elements, even in something as traditional as like, you know, an action adventure game. Like Last of Us Part 2 is like totally like that's such a narrative heavy game. It's like someone who loves narrative stuff. And yeah, the Mission Impossible thing, like I totally feel that with like the beginning of Uncharted 4, like them being like in the suits and kind of like talking to people and like the sort of the stress and set dressing of that whole situation felt very much in that world. So
the Lost Legacy villain really reminded me of a Mission Impossible villain. I know you've not gotten there yet, but for the people that have played Lost Legacy, will you ever get there?
We'll find out later today.
We'll see. But like that villain, as soon as I got to that villain at the first reveal, I was like, this guy has Mission Impossible villain vibes off the chain, and I would love to see Naughty Dog do something like this. And then going back to Gorilla, right? Like a couple things with that too is I'd like to see Gorilla tell a story in the Avatar: The Last Airbender world that is separate from like Aang and like the actual Avatar, right? Have it take place in that universe. Don't necessarily tell us an Aang story or a Korra story, right? Maybe do like a different Avatar, or even just like
so no cabbages.
No cabbages. Oh no,
right?
Cabbages.
No, cabbages are a mainstay.
Did they have cabbages in Korra? Was that a thing in Korra?
Oh yeah, that's a thing in Korra. Okay. He's got a whole empire. The same cabbage man has he's got a business, a big business.
Wow, he has the McDonald's of cabbages.
Thriving.
You know, it's interesting. I
cabbage franchises.
I added some quick hits in last second here, and I also put Avatar: The Last Airbender because I've been wanting an Earthbender game where it is like it's a new Avatar. It's after Korra, and of course like she was water, so the next person in line would be an Earthbender. Have it be Earthbender, and the interesting thing is I would want Santa Monica to do it. I would want kind of that kind of open world, but not so much so that to the extent of Zero Dawn and Forbidden West, but explorable enough like God of War 2018, where it feels big and small. Depending on where you are in the story or on the map and stuff like that, where they can tell kind of smaller stories that are still very emotionally relevant that could tie into themes of the overarching story and stuff like that. I also think the combat in God of War lends itself a little bit more to the weight and punchiness almost in combat in
Earthbender.
With earthbending and just Avatar fighting styles and stuff that we've seen throughout both the shows.
Small kids.
Yeah, the small kids. I would also love if we got more of I forget what the professional sport is in Korra,
Ooh, yes.
But if that was like
Oh,
a
man.
side game,
It's like pro bending or something.
yeah, pro bending, like that would be fucking sick. Other two quick ones, there's like the new Voltron show on Netflix that like ended a couple of years ago. I would want Insomniac Games to make like a game based off of like that specific interpretation of Voltron, and then I would want a Demon Slayer open world game by Sucker Punch, because you know a very like Ghost of Tsushima-esque with like different like stances and like in Demon Slayer you got like the water breathing and like fire breathing stances and all that stuff. But then also, you've got that Ghost of Tsushima like kind of like basis there. But they also have games that are very stylized artistically, like Sly Cooper, which is like what Demon Slayer very much is as well. And I think you could like marry the best of both worlds with them developing a type of a Demon Slayer game. So those are my quick ones.
Oh yeah, I think we're all great IP masters. I think we all deserve a raise.
They have a lot to work on there.
61K. We're moving it up to 61K.
Oh my god.
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
You gotta get the raise plus the inflation. Like, don't leave anything on the table. Let them tell me no. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah. Everybody listen to advice from Janet because she's giving you
I'm a lot more
facts
down when it's hypothetical. You know what I mean?
Employer reviews. Make sure that you're taking inflation into account. David Mertz, thank you so much for the question. And now it's time for topic of the show. Janet, yesterday we went into the Slack and we were talking about what we should do for PSW this week because there wasn't any really like big PlayStation specific news. And I think that presented a really cool opportunity to like have like a sit down because
I'm scared.
I think I have to say it. I think it's time to officially announce that review season is over.
No, it's not. Fuck you. No, it's not.
Review season.
I'm playing so many fucking games right now, Blessing. You can't just
Are they
be
new
like,
games?
oh,
Are you reviewing them?
the games that like I care about. Those are all done. No, games keep coming out, dude.
Well, name some
bring them in, do
names.
you
What
smell
games are
anything?
coming out?
Just this week, Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, MLB
We had
The
that
Show
review.
2022. Fucking what else have I been like?
There was MLB The Show impressions on
Give him
XCast.
time. Let him dig his own grave. Go ahead. No, what's out? What's going on? What's hot in the streets?
You asking Barrett or you asking me?
Barrett.
What do you mean digging my again? Like I said the other day, one.
Because you're naming games that already have a review.
The energy you're giving is like, and I make this joke like all the time because I always find it funny. But like when people are stumped on a question like that, when they need to list something, they're like, and I'm like, oh yeah, just so many names running through my head right now. I can't even.
I got Game Informer up. I got Game Informer up right now. Of course, as of today, if you're watching this on Patreon, yesterday if you're watching this the day it comes out, right? I put up Blessing Super Fun Game Release Calendar version 1.2 with the April update, right? It's it's backlog season. It's basically what I'm building up to, all right? Review season is dead. Backlog season is here. I'm looking at Game Informer right now.
Like?
If you go to GameInformer.com/2022, they have a list of all the games, at least all the major games coming out over the year. They update it pretty regularly, not as regularly as I'd like. Hey, Game Informer, maybe get into the minutia, right? Give me the little small games that nobody's ever heard of. Put those on the list. But like Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, that came out April 5th, right? And that review is up. MLB The Show 22, that came out April 5th. Again, they talked about that on XCast. I'm sure you talked about that up there on XCast. And then when I go down the list, it's Chinatown Detective Agency, April 7th. Chrono Cross, April 7th. That's a big one, but like obviously we're not reviewing that. Godfall, Ultimate Edition, Sherlock. Barrett, where do you see review season happening?
I don't know, if like 13 Sentinels come to Switch, Nobody Saves the World coming to PS5 and PS4.
Who's reviewing these?
Road 96 is coming to other consoles. Dude, Star Wars The Force Unleashed is coming to Switch. Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Road 96 is cool, but like you played it on PC already.
Nintendo Switch Sports is coming to Switch. Trek to Yomi is coming out in May.
And that's May. And that's my thing is like right now, again, I'll say it. Well, Gamescast, you're not going to see another Gamescast review in a minute. All right. Maybe Trek to Yomi might be the next one. Trek to Yomi could possibly be that. But for now, review season, fucking dead. Buried in the ground. It's done. All right. Backlog season is here. And that's what I want to talk about on this episode of PS I Love You XOXO. We're doing our PS5 Spring Cleaning, which was an idea that was brought up by Janet. Janet, I don't know if you want to explain exactly like what we're about to do here, like what your thought process it was behind this idea.
Also, I know it would do nothing for clicks, but we should name this episode Baby Got Backlog. I know we're not going to, but
ooh, that's really good.
That's my first contribution.
That might be a good thumbnail. I might.
Okay.
Well, Roger just sent the thumbnail, so
he did send the thumbnail, but he could change it.
Just rewrite it. I don't know. Anyway, so the idea here, obviously whenever it slows down, it's a good time to look at what you have left to clean up. I really try to be as on it as possible for keeping up with stuff so I don't end up December, November sprinting toward the finish line of trying to get these last minute games in for, awards and things. But then also, not everything needs to be the 2022 calendar either. There's stuff that I've been working on. Blessing, I'm sure there's stuff that you're working on that maybe isn't as timely based, but that you just want to play and get around to. It's also a good time to, enjoy some things that you haven't gotten to. And I feel like, as someone that doesn't have the expansion on their PS5 hard drive, and is just someone that plays a lot of games, it is a constant negotiation of like, what am I playing? What am I not playing? And I also kind of wanted to have this conversation after our chaotic Games Daily tangent that we went on, where you were trying to get me to delete Uncharted 4.
Your chaotic Games Daily tangent. I was just sitting there. I was a bystander.
You were supposed to be supervising, so that is it comes down to you. Like, I'm just the man, the second chair. You know what I mean?
I cannot contain Janet. Can I contain you? I don't think I can contain Janet Garcia.
You don't want to, though. You like to provoke and then walk away, and then you just let me be a flame. That's kind of our dynamic.
That's fair.
So I figured we could, even as, we'll get into it, what our lists are, but even as I was writing my own, I'm like, Blessing's gonna just, like, flame me. Like, I'm not gonna make it out of here alive, so.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at the doc right now, and I am gonna flame you when we get there.
Yeah.
But we're dividing. I'm dividing the segment up into two parts, right? I want to talk about the games that are coming out in 2022 that we're excited about, right? The games are playing on playing, what the rest of the year looks like. It's kind of an overview of like 2022, the rest of 2022 as told by Janet and Bless. And then I do want to talk about Backlog and what the next couple months look for us in terms of the games that we want to play and the games that we might revisit. So starting off with the games that are coming out over the rest of the year, the stuff that we're looking forward to for the rest of the year. I have my picks separated into two categories. I have games that I'm most excited about, and then other games, right? I have like 4 or 5 games in each list. I think it is 5 games in each list. Starting off with games that I am most excited about. I got The Quarry. That's coming out June 10th. I think that is the next game that's coming out for me that I'm like ultra excited about. Of course, if you missed it, that is the Supermassive game. We talked about it a few weeks ago on this podcast. It is another one that is a successor to Until Dawn. It seems like it's taking a step back from Dark Pictures Anthology, right? And is trying to double down on, all right, what worked about Until Dawn? People liked the group of characters. People liked this like murder scenario where it is like, here's the setup and all these characters hanging out and he plays all of them and anyone can die, right? Like they're kind of taking it back to the simplistics in that way. They have, of course, the one and only Brenda Song, who I'm a big fan of, and they have other names in there as well. They're really cool. And yeah, like I'm just super excited for this thing. I forget, is this one that you're looking forward to?
Oh man, I'm starting to become split at this point, and I'm interested to hear like what you've been thinking of Supermassive's last couple projects, because I wasn't even that hot on Until Dawn, admittedly. I know like a lot of people really love that game. I thought it was fine, it's kind of like, it's good. It was okay, good to okay for me. But I really love story stuff. I really love choose your own adventure stuff. I really like stuff that's almost, this isn't directly FMV because obviously it's like created, it's not recorded with people, but it kind of evokes some of that energy.
Yeah.
And I really like those kinds of games. Yes. But man, I've never really liked, and this is what I was talking about where I'm like, I've played franchises that I've liked way less than Uncharted. I am kind of married to Supermassive at this point, and I don't know if I want to be anymore. Like hearing The Quarry coming out and hearing it coming out so soon when I'm still working on the last Dark Pictures game, which admittedly could be knocked out like the next time I sit down to play it. But I'm like, do I want to do this again? Like, am I really going through this again? And like, I don't know if I should. Maybe I should just take a break. I don't know what do you think of that? And then what's your excitement based on how you felt about the other games? Because maybe you're hotter on the Dark Pictures than I've been.
I'm a bit hotter. I think they've been getting better and better as they've been going. Because yeah, Man of Medan came out and it was kind of like, all right, it was fine, it was whatever. It definitely wasn't Until Dawn, right? I fucking loved Until Dawn when I played it. And I'm somebody who tends to gravitate towards those kinds of games. I think that's something I should put out there as well, where you put out a cinematic adventure game. I think that's the closest thing I can probably nail in terms of the genre of these games, right? Like they're basically choose your own adventure, but with more cinematic elements to them, right? You put out like a Detroit Become Human, you put out like a Life is Strange, right? Like I'm likely going to play those games because I really dig I really just dig those games. And so like Supermassive putting out Until Dawn, I remember playing Until Dawn and going, oh, okay, these guys are next up. Like, I'm so happy we have more people doing this than just Quantic Dream, because like Quantic Dream, as much as like I really like their tech, as much as I really like the visuals of their games, and like I like their butterfly effect systems in their games, the stories very much are like hit and miss for me, and there's a lot of miss in those stories, even in stories that in like games that I like, right? Detroit Become Human, I liked mainly for the Connor bits, but then I think it was Marcus. I hated Marcus's storyline.
Oh my god, me too.
And then Kara's
It was so bad.
yeah, I thought it was really bad. And then Kara's story, I was kind of mid on. I was like, that's fine. But like, I really liked it for Connor. But then like, I had to kind of go through all the other stuff to get there. Supermassive, I think they have a tendency to like focus in on, all right, let's not make something that's fucking off the chain or something that like that feels overscoped by any means. Let's just focus on the horror. Let's focus on like this story of kids that are out in a cabin, right? In the case of Until Dawn, or let's focus on like what Man and Madon was, right? Which is like this group of young adults that are going sailing out at sea, right? Like let's find the small concept that we want to focus in on and make a 6-7 hour game and make it hit. And I think for me, they Until Dawn hit, Man and Madon hit less, but as they've been going, they've been getting better and better. And the previous one, House of Ashes, I thought was great. I thought it was a strong great. I really had a good time with it. The Quarry, I'm even more excited about because coming off of House of Ashes, I've realized that like it's a it's just a type of game that like I'm just down for, right? Like I'm down for it. And then I think on top of that too, the more we've gotten these games, the more I've started to play them as multiplayer games, where I am sitting down with my friend Yami and we are doing the co-op thing in the case of Dark Pictures the Dark Pictures series. In the case of the Quarry, I know they've talked about multiplayer. I don't think they've talked about online multiplayer as much. I'll wait and see to see what the features are there. But like I'm excited for that too. Whether it is us doing like what we've been doing with Dark Pictures and playing it that way, or if it is us doing share play or sharing our screen or doing whatever. Either way, I really like the couch experience of these games because like for as campy as they are, that gives us so much to like make fun of and so much to like fight for or like people to root against, right? There's always a character, and this is why I look like Supermassive. I think they really get how to do horror, at least horror characters, because like there's always a character in each of these games that you love to hate, right? In Little Hope, it was the old lady. In House of Ashes, I forget their name, but like there was an asshole dude in,
It's like
in
one
House
of the
of
guys.
Ashes.
Wasn't he kind of like, I feel like he
He
was
was one
like
of the
kind of
dudes.
problematic, right? Like
He was
like
kind
he
of
was
racist.
mean, but also yeah, he was mean and racist, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think you can be maybe nice and racist either. That's throwing that out there. But yeah, I hated him. I forgot who he
Yeah.
was, but yes.
And like they do a good job of figuring out like what tropes do they want to tackle, what kind of characters do they want interacting with each other, and then you inevitably get those characters that you start off being like, I don't fuck with this guy, and then toward the end of the game you're rooting for him, right? In
I
my
think
case
like
with the last game, it was Ashley Tisdale's love interest, her like husband or whatever, or ex-husband, I forget which. It was ex-husband. Who like at first I was like, I fucking hate this guy. I'm gonna hate this guy forever. He's a fuckboy. And then I get to the end, I'm like, I fucking love this guy. He's great. Oh damn, I let him die, right? Like there's so much stakes and so much like involvement in
the
these
drama
games that like
is
make it really
fun,
fun for me.
but it's just like it's just been rough because they're just not that good. But like I like the drama, but then it's like this isn't that. It kind of feels like I've just been eating a lot of Little Caesars pizza, which I like Little Caesars pizza. But if I had to eat too much of it, like if you had me eat Little Caesars pizza for a week, I'd be like, man, this doesn't have a week of content here. And I kind of feel a little bit overwhelmed with how much content Supermassive has been putting out, and it's probably just because I haven't finished that last game. If I had finished it, I'd probably be more down. I think it's also hitting at a weird time because it's summer, and I get that it's like summer camp, vibes or whatever, which is its own kind of horror thing. But like those are usually like more in the spooky season, so I'm like, do I want to hit this up? So I mean, I'll at least still get it. I don't know how quickly I'll play it. It'll depend on if I'm finished with my other backlog stuff. But also as far as the co-op stuff, I've always only played these games multiplayer. But like local multiplayer, and I know with House of Ashes, like it was super uneven with how often each of us were playing, which was one of my beefs with it, and it went really slow. Like I remember when you were playing it, we were playing at the same time, and I just never finished it. And it like when we talked about our experiences, you're like, oh yeah, that's like not at all like how I'm playing it.
Yeah, but like
you're online.
The problem was that you're doing couch co-op, right, on the same TV, right, and so you're switching back and forth between you and your co-op partner, which extends the length of the game dramatically. Whereas I was playing online, and so like when I'm doing it online with Yami, like it is us controlling two different characters and explaining our scenarios to each other of like, oh yeah, I'm over here doing this thing, and I'm like, oh, I'm playing as this person, I'm over here doing this thing, and it kind of goes by at a quicker pace, and like it's this. I feel like it's like a good bad thing in both scenarios because in your case you get to see the whole story, you get to see all the scenes, and like you get to like get the full picture. Whereas the complaint that me and Yami have always had is like, oh, like it kind of sucks that like I don't know what the other person's doing, or like
Yeah.
I feel like I'm missing out on entire portions of the story because I'm playing as these characters. But then they have some payoffs for that, where it's like I won't spoil anything, but like certain things that certain characters are doing ends up being like oh, should I tell my partner this? Or like, oh, do I need to tell my partner this because that's going to help them in their scenario? It
Mhm.
becomes very much like a figuring out how to solve the situation sort of thing, which I think is really fun and really works out. Janet, actually, how do you want to do this? Because like I can go through the rest of my list
I
and
can
then
go
like
go
jump
through
to
your
you.
list. I'll chime in if I have comments or like additions to add on for them.
Okay. Okay. So again, going on with the ones that I'm most excited about for this year, Cuphead, the delicious last course that's coming out on June 30th. Very excited for that. I'm excited for it for two reasons. One, because Cuphead is phenomenal. Two, because I actually never beat Cuphead. Cuphead was one of the games that was so difficult that I just gave up at a certain point. I was
Yeah.
like, I can't. I love playing this game. This game, it has like one of the best art styles I've ever seen. I love the soundtrack. I love playing it, but I can't beat this game. Um, with the DLC coming through, I want to double back and actually finish Cuphead. And like, I got Bear Courtney with me. I got Tim Geddes. I got people that have beaten Cuphead that I'm sure can help me along the way. I want to go back and I want to beat Cuphead and then get into the delicious last course because like I'm in the mood now. I think I'm in the right place where I just want more of that. And I also after coming since playing the first Cuphead, I've like gotten into like Bloodborne and Elden Ring and like other difficult games, Returnal, other difficult games that I think have conditioned me to like be down to put up with some of the difficulty. I think at least for me, I find Cuphead a bit more difficult than an Elden Ring or like an action game because like I think I'm more equipped for something like a From Software game as opposed to a 2D like side scrolling shoot 'em up. I think
Bullet
I'm just
hell
bad at
kind
these
of
games.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
small
What?
playing field too. Like they're totally I think Cuphead's a great example of like difficulty means something different for everybody based on your
Oh, for
background,
sure.
your style, and your taste. Like I can, play really hard platformers, which is why like I at first was like, oh, Cuphead, yeah, I'll do this. And then I'm like, oh, you're more of a shmup. Bye. Like, and I never went back. I don't know if I'd be better at it nowadays, but yeah, I could definitely see how you'd find one easier than the other.
Yeah. But like nonetheless, I'm like excited to try and go back and then beat Cuphead. I might reboot it actually on my PS5 because I originally played it on Xbox because the game came out exclusive on Xbox. But I think I have it on PlayStation, so this might be just an excuse for me to go back and play the full game again. And so very excited for that. Saints Row is coming out August 23rd. Very excited for that. I'm more so like it's a bit of morbid curiosity because I want to see them. I want to see how they go about it, and I want to see them potentially knock it out the park. But like, I'm open to the idea that the game might come out and it might be a thud. Like, I know it might go either way, but I really like Saints Row. I really like the like open world city action like crime games. Obviously, I'm a big Grand Theft Auto fan, and like Saints Row 3 and Saints Row 4, whenever I go back to play them, I'm always just like, yeah, this is just fun. This is pure fun. I like the chaos. I like fucking around. I like jumping into cars. I like listening to the radio stations. And I miss that in Saints Row. Because Saints Row brought that with a specific like over the top, almost like Adult Swim like humor
Mhm.
that I miss. Earlier this week we were talking about on KFGD the Secret of Monkey Island game, the return to Monkey Island. Jared Petty came on. He was talking about how like not enough games lean into being funny, and Saints Row is one of those games that leans in real hard to being funny. And like obviously, Saints Row came out early 2010s, late 2000s, and so like a lot of that humor doesn't age as well. I'm excited to see them try it again. I'm excited to see them try that in a new form in a modern era, and I think that's partly why they rebooted is because like Saints Row at this point feels so old, and I think you got to find ways to make it feel new. And for all the stuff that they've shown, all the stuff that I saw in my preview, I'm like, I don't know, man. I think they have the right ideas in mind in terms of how to bring it back, and so I'm excited to see what a new Saints Row looks like.
I think
Um,
too, it's inadvertently kind of a good time for it. I think with like the GTA trilogy, which granted, that's like kind of contentious because some people really like hate like the ways that it was sort of ported over or like not fixed up or fixed up not enough. And then some people are just there for the nostalgia. And then you combine that with like GTA 5 finally coming to PS5, like the next gen version. Like I think it's kind of people are, at least I feel like I'm in that mindset to start making like comparisons and have like a conversation about like what does Saints Row bring to the table, especially for me as someone that I love GTA, but I've never actually played Saints Row. So like jumping into this, I definitely also, I wouldn't pick this up in my draft, right? If we're thinking of like how
yeah,
good of this game we think it's going to be,
I
but
think I
you
picked
picked
it
it
up
up
in
in the
my draft.
draft. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
did. I
thought that
did.
was a mistake. I don't know
I
how
I
it's
mean,
going to turn out.
I look back
I
at that
mean,
draft and I think about a lot of mistakes that I might have made.
you actually like I was looking at the other day, and I feel like you have a lot of good games on there. And then there's also Saints Row, which
There's
again,
also
I think
Saints
that'll
Row.
get points on the board.
There's
I
also
just don't know
Last of
how
Us
many.
remake, which like
Right.
why would I pick Last of Us remake? I understand there's the
Just
reports,
for
but
the
do I
clout, like
think
you
that
have.
game's coming out this year?
Well, yeah, but like I don't know, you got a cloud heavy list there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Saints Row, even though I don't know how it'll like pan out. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's very much a wait and see for me. Sonic Frontiers is also on my list. That one doesn't have a date, but I'm excited for it just for the fact that like, come on, yesterday I went and watched the Sonic movie. Our Sonic screencast is up right now. I'm literally wearing a Sonic the Hedgehog shirt and a Shadow the Hedgehog chain right
Is
now.
Sonic your favorite franchise?
No, but I really love the franchise. Like that's the thing is,
What
I
is your
think
favorite franchise?
oh that's tough. Probably either like Metal Gear or
Yeah, Metal Gear's a good one.
maybe Mario. Mario's for sure up there.
Something with an
Um,
M.
yeah, if it has an M in it, I probably like it. Eminem, the
Metroid.
rapper, and the candy. But yeah, no, I think for me, it's funny because like I think I give off that I like Sonic games more than I do because
Is
like
your
I
Sonic chain too? You're like Sonic. That when I see Sonic, I literally think of you.
to be fair, Tim
That's
Geddes
how
has the
strong
Sonic
the mar-
chain.
That's
I got
how
the
strong the
Shadow.
marketing is in my mind for like you and Sonic's relationship.
I
Was
was
you also
looking
dressed as Sonic at one point? Yeah, like you're Sonic. Like what are you talking about?
so like I was looking through my list of like favorite games of all time that I have like on my GG app, and like I realized I was thinking about it yesterday actually because the movie I was like, man, Sonic isn't anywhere in here. I think I probably should add Sonic Mania in there if it's not in there, but like high up, there's like no other Sonic games aside from like maybe a Sonic Mania, and I think for me Sonic really is more so of a brand, a nostalgia thing. It is like a like in the way that people obsess themselves over like Hello Kitty or like any other sort of like weird like oh man I love this thing like I have connections whatever to this thing. Sonic is kind of that for me. Like I have memories of playing the games. I have like so many of my friends had different Sonic games and different shit that we'd be like oh fuck like oh you got Sonic in the Black Knight, oh you got the DS battle game, oh I've never heard of this, I want to check this out, right? Like there is so much branding and so much of a push around Sonic, let alone the multiple cartoons, let alone like all these other all of these different ways to get into the Sonic brand that for me as a kid growing up, like I look at it in the same way that I look at a Mickey Mouse or I look at like a Bugs Bunny or something, right? Like Sonic for me is just one of those mascot characters that I just have an appreciation for and a connection to. And I do like the games, right? Like Sonic 1 through 3 I think are fantastic games. Sonic Mania I think is one of the best games that year. Sonic Generations I fucking love, right? Like there are the games that I think are fantastic. And that's partly why like I'm really pulling for Sonic Frontiers because I think for how much of a bummer Sonic Forces was, which was the previous Sonic game, right? Like that was the game that was supposed to be the follow-up kind of, right? Like the successor to Sonic Generations, which came out and was fucking fantastic back in the early 2010s. Sonic Forces was kind of supposed to be that, and it wasn't. It came out and it was a thud. Sonic Frontiers seems like it's more of a reboot. It seems like it's more of a refresh. It seems like they're doing something different. When they showed the trailer at the Game Awards, it was this. It was this thing that a lot of people were comparing to like Breath of the Wild. Yeah,
Wildification.
and
The
like they're
curly
the
forgotten landification of Sonic. Yeah.
exactly, and a lot of people in their reports like leaking Sonic Frontiers were saying that like yeah no they're making the Breath of the Wild of Sonic games. I still don't believe that. I still don't think that you can make a Breath of the Wild of Sonic games. I don't think that makes sense. What I do think does make sense is them expanding Sonic, right? Like figuring out how to put Sonic in open environments so that you can solve like platforming puzzles at your own pace. Like I think like Solar Ash, right? I think like the Pathless. I think
Mhm.
that kind of setup for a Sonic game would be dope because like both those games that I just mentioned are so much about their momentum and so much about their the speed and so much about the movement. And they're also like puzzle platformers for all intents and purposes. Sonic needs to exist in that space. I think Sonic would excel being that type of game. And I think like in the trailers they also had like it was like a giant colossal creature that like Sonic was climbing. I think Sonic needs stuff like that, right? Sonic needs like cool fucking like platforming moments. It needs cool like stuff to make it feel larger than life, right? I think the stuff that Sonic Frontiers has shown in the trailer so far has me hopeful that Sonic Frontiers can be that Sonic game that I've been asking for.
You know, you've sold me on Sonic now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure I try Sonic Frontiers. My background with Sonic is like pretty sparse. I'm pretty sure I've played and enjoyed some of the games, but it's all kind of hazy, like through like something on the GameCube, maybe, I don't know. But in the modern era, like I tried playing Sonic Mania, and it seems like a great game, but I couldn't get into it because I can't go fast. Like I didn't get the momentum going. Like you said, the very momentum-driven game, and I like wasn't able to get into the flow of being Sonic. So I'm like, I don't think I just can't connect with it for that reason. But, you know, I'll try again with Frontiers because maybe
Oh, yeah.
I'll find the flow to go fast.
And then the last one I have on my list of like the games I'm most excited about. Last one is God of War Ragnarok, which I think that probably goes for most people that are listening to a PlayStation podcast and they're on PlayStation podcast. Though the one thing is that I'm starting to get to the point where I am not hopeful this game is coming out this year. I think this
Yeah,
game is
I'm
going to be a
waiting for the
2023
delay
game.
or
Yeah.
the date. You know, I'm not like trying to hope for it to not come out or anything, but I'm like, please just give me the date or just delay it. Like, I just want that. I just want to know. Like, the waiting
Yeah.
is like kind of killing me.
Yeah, exactly. And then like there are the other games, right? The games that I'm looking forward to, but I don't put on the list of like the most excited, but I am still looking forward to, right? Like Midnight Fight Express, that's a cool looking beat 'em up indie game. Reminds me a little bit of Sifu, but from kind of a top down perspective. That looks really cool. Stray, we're waiting on a date for that. That game looks dope as hell. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, that comes out April 27th. I'm really excited for that one. It's been literally like almost 10 years since I played Stanley Parable, and I remember loving it at the time. And so that goes back to the comedy games and they're not being enough, right? Like Stanley Parable is another one of those. And so if you haven't checked out Stanley Parable, or if you like walking sims, or comedy, Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe is one to keep an eye
Puzzles?
out for.
If you like
Puzzles,
games,
maybe,
play
yeah.
Stanley Parable.
I don't know if I would call. I guess it kind of is a puzzle game to some extent.
I think
It's
so. It's not a
it's
hard
puzzle.
puzzle game.
Yeah, it's puzzly
You're
to the
like
extent that
figuring
like
stuff
walking
out.
sims are puzzle games.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah. You're
Like I
not
guess
wrong.
you are trying to solve like different. I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want to spoil it for people that haven't experienced it. But
Yeah.
like it can be a bit puzzly for sure.
It's
And
not
then
as puzzly as like, super liminal or
Witness.
anything like that or
Yeah.
something.
And then there's DNF Duel that's coming out June 28th. That's a really cool fighting game that I'm looking forward to. I played the beta this last weekend, and it was really fun. And I talked about it on Gamescast if you want to hear more about that. And then there's also Forspoken that's coming out October 11th. And that's pretty much my list of like games I'm looking forward to. Of course, I have Blessing Super Fun Game Release Calendar 2022 trademarked. That is on my Twitter if you want to go check that out. I'm gonna pin it as the pin tweet.
Nice.
And like there I have all the games that I plan on playing. But yeah, as far as like the games that I at least care about this year, that's what that looks like for me. Janet, what about you?
You pretty much hit most of the ones I had. Little Devil Inside, is that still slated for 2022? It is,
Yep,
right?
it
Okay.
is.
I have that one on there. I know that's been interesting because it's been like super heavily like marketed. Like it's been like so much of like PlayStation stuff. It's kind of like their indie game that they're pushing right now, I feel like. Obviously Stray's gotten also some attention, but it's kind of been like weirdly up and down because like, oh, they showed like more, but now I like it less or I like it more. Or then they had like their like cultural issues of like editing like some of the enemy designs, and then people were like, okay, the last look we got was the most like vivid look of like kind of the overworld map style thing, like riding the train, talking to like merchants. But I feel like even with that, folks are kind of like, but what is it like to like what's really going to be the cadence and the flow of this, and is that something that appeals to me? I don't have an answer to necessarily either of those. I think I'm just kind of struck by the art style of it, and just the idea of adventuring with like light combat was just kind of the general vibe I get from it. So it's definitely one I'm still looking forward to, and hopefully it ends up really blowing people away, because I definitely think a lot of these like kind of PlayStation Hallmark indies can end up being sleeper hits for the year. So I'm hoping that this is one of those, but we'll have to see when it comes out, or if we get more information or a demo or just something to kind of latch onto there. And then Close to the Lamb, I've mentioned it before on here.
Yeah.
It's a Devolver Digital joint. I think is it roguelike? Like basic. It has like a fun like kind of Binding of Isaac-esque art style to it, and it kind of is like also slightly like cutesy, so it's like a weird mix of a lot of, I think, things we've seen out of like the indie space, with like base building and like kind of a dark layer with like a weirdly cute cartoony wrapping to it, and that kind of style really appeals to me, so that's one that I have on my radar. I also think Devolver Digital for me is quickly becoming kind of like a place that I really look towards for games. It's not quite the level of Annapurna for me in terms of my taste, but it's like Annapurna with a bit of edge. Like instead of going for like story stuff, they kind of usually have like a more diverse set of different like genres that they end up pushing stuff out for, and their stuff's oftentimes like very stylized, like more action oriented. Like I really like a lot of stuff they put out. Again, not everything hits for me, but if I see Devolver Digital associated, it usually makes me pay just a little bit more attention to it, because I feel like they have a pretty strong track record for like putting out interesting projects, even if they're not always super appealing to me. So
See, my
that's
thing is
what I'm looking out for.
I have like the flip where I think Devolver Digital is more hit than miss for me than Annapurna, where like I used to be on the side of like Annapurna announces a game, I'm
When they
in
put
it.
out that 12 minutes, I was like,
When they put out 12 minutes, that's what soured me the most. That's why I was like, all right, I can't just play every single Annapurna game now. I gotta
yeah.
pick and choose because like it was that, and then that was followed. There was like a couple of games in that instance because I think it was that. I think it was the what was the rock and roll game that Tim Geddes loved, the
Oh,
2D
well,
one.
oh
Artful
yeah, I
Escape.
didn't like that
Artful
either.
Escape. Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
I really didn't like that game either.
I didn't dig that one. Like I think there are a few other Annapurna games as well that came out
Yeah.
that like I know that were for some people. I think that was the main thing for me is that like it's not like they're putting out dud after dud or anything like that. I think it's more so they're putting out games that are gonna hit real people with different tastes. And like even the Artful Escape, like I was mad at 12 minutes. I wasn't mad at the Artful Escape. I was just
Yeah, I
bored with
wasn't
it.
mad. I was, yeah.
Yeah,
12 Minutes
I
was
was
the
like,
only
this is for
game that I felt
somebody.
like was bad. The other stuff was more like, okay. Like when those games came out, I felt like my old saying of like, Annapurna can do no wrong. I'm like, well, yeah, they have different games that they put out. Like
Yeah.
it's not gonna be the everything that I thought it was.
I'm not gonna also say that like Devolver can't do no wrong either because like Devolver they publish so many games that I'm not gonna play all their games. But then
Oh
like
yeah.
I think I then like noticed that there's enough of their games where I'm like, oh shit, this is really really my shit, right? Like Inscription came out late last year and that game was dope as hell, right? Like they had Death's Door, they had Boomerang X. There's a game called Sludge Life that they published that like I've always wanted to play that I've not made the time to. Maybe I'll put that in my thing that next segment when we're talking about backlogs. But like there's that, right? Like they had Ape out, they had Minute, right? Like
Back to Yomi is them as well.
Trek to Yomi is them, and that's one that I should probably add to my list as well, right? Like that's a game that I'm
Yeah, me
looking
too.
forward
Yeah.
to. I really want to like. It's funny because that's one that like I watch the trailers and I'm like, this looks really cool, but I'm not gonna trust it until I have it in my hands and I'm playing it. Like I could easily see that game being like, oh, actually, never mind, this is boring. But also, I could also see it being like, oh fuck, this shit is next level, almost like a Sifu kind of thing. But yeah, Trek to Yomi looks dope as hell too. Do you have anything else on your list?
That's it from like PlayStation specific stuff for now. But yeah, that's my list.
So Janet, we laid out what the rest of 2022 looks like pretty much for us, right? I'm sure that I know there's way more games out there that people are looking forward to. And of course, Greg Miller's not here, and I'm sure he would tell you there's an Avengers update going on in the fall that he's very excited about, but we don't have time to talk about
He would
that.
bring up Gotham Knights as well.
He would bring up I did actually have Gotham Knights on my
Oh
list.
yeah.
And then I deleted it because I wanted to like be concise. But yeah, Gotham Knights, I'm excited for that as well too. I think that's gonna be an
Same.
exciting time. You gonna play with me or are you gonna do co-op?
Sure. Do you want you we need a game to play together. We've never played a game together really, I don't think, other than FIFA.
So, aside from FIFA.
Yeah, which like I mean, that is a game, but it's not like we're working
What
toward
happened
a
to
goal
UFC?
together.
Weren't we gonna play UFC?
Yeah, and I installed it, and I think I hate deleted it because you never installed it. I don't think. Did you? Did you ever install it? Because I installed it. It took up so much of my drive, and then at a certain point, I'm like, I was duped. Like I was lied to.
I might have not,
Also,
not
again,
installed it.
That doesn't count as something. Let's just. I have it though. I did claim it. I
Wait,
claimed
no.
it specifically for
I
you.
have it installed. I have EA UFC
Okay.
4 installed.
I'm not gonna lie, I might have deleted it, but I did install at the time, and it took a long time. It was like 40 gigs. It was like dozens of minutes waiting to not play this game with you. But yeah, we should do something that's more, campaign focused. Like a campaign thing would be fun.
Okay. Let's keep a lookout. Maybe the Quarry. Maybe we can do the Quarry.
We could. I have to check with my brother because I normally play those games with him. But
Yeah, and I also got to check. Let's not do the Quarry because I also have to
you know
check
what I
the
mean?
Onyx.
Like,
I'll use
right?
the
Like, I don't
Kratos
want to.
with her.
We can't game cheat on like who we already are like squatted
true.
up with. You know what I mean? We'll find something new. We'll find a neutral place to like join
Gotham
the
Knights.
PlayStation party. Yeah, the most
Gotham Knights might be
neutral
the
place
one.
of all time.
I'll see you in like what, November for that game or October? I'll see you in October.
Sure, but like you have to actually show up. Like, don't be like, oh, I'm sorry, like something. Don't bullshit me here.
I'm definitely. Here's the thing. I'm
Okay.
definitely playing Gotham Knights. Will I have a review code? Maybe if everything goes well, yeah. Will you have a review code at the same time? That's gonna be the question because if that could mess things up
That
if
could
you don't
mess
get a
things up,
code and if I
yes.
do. Because
Sure.
I'm not gonna wait to play this game with you, Jana. I
That is fair.
and that's not I know that's harsh for
Yeah,
you
work
listening. I know
calls. Like it is.
I know y'all are like,
I get it.
damn, like Blessing's going real hard. But here's the thing, I'm not waiting to play Gotham Knights. As soon as I get that game in
Fair.
my hand, I'm playing it.
Okay.
Janet, I want to start with you in this conversation because we're about to talk about Backlog now that we've gotten our 2022 pretty much out the way in terms of what the rest of the schedule looks like. The next couple of months are what I'm calling Backlog season because there aren't that many video game releases coming through, right? Like I say it, right? Like early the games that are slated but don't have dates for me are Neon White, Stray, and there's the play date also. For May, in terms of release dates, Trek to Yomi is coming to PS5 May 5th. And then I almost forgot about April. End of April, we're getting Stanley Parable for PS5 April 27th, and then Nintendo Switch Sports. And so like it's a pretty chill month for me at least. I know other people have other games they're playing, especially Barrett Courtney, who apparently is playing every single game that's coming out in April. Janet, this backlog season, what are you planning to play? What are you playing in the
Okay.
meantime?
All right. Here, so I divided this. I have a long list. I'm gonna try not to spend too much time on all of these because there's a lot of them. I have, and I also use GG app to like organize my stuff. So I pulled a lot of that info from here, and then I went to my PlayStation installed to see the ways I was lying to myself, especially with those smaller files. I'm like, oh, this indie game, I'll get around to this at some point. I'm probably not going to. Currently playing. I would like to do the Horizon Forbidden West Platinum. That could be a slow burn for me. I feel like when the mood strikes, or if I want to do a stream or something. Okay. Weird West. I think I have to finish that game. It's pretty short. You know, spoilers. I think there is a layer of like a potential kind of multiple playthrough angle, again, without giving too much away. But I think just getting 2 credits is only a few hours, I think. So, and I'm 2 hours in. I haven't tried
Wait,
4.
For Weird
Yes.
West?
Yeah, that's what I heard, but I haven't looked too much into it.
Okay.
Like I don't want to.
Because I heard that is like a 20-hour game.
I heard it's that if you're doing like all of the layers, which some might
Gotcha.
argue is the whole experience. So like that one's
So
kind of up in the
we're talking
air.
like a Nier Automata kind of situation almost.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's as hard. I feel like Nier Automata. I feel like Nier is the only game where like for real, you really do have to play like all of the layers to like get it all. Because a lot of times I'm like, do you need to, or do you? That and Resident Evil 2 are the only games that I feel like you kind of need to do all the sides if you really want to have the whole thing. I don't know if Weird West is that deep, or if it's just like, oh, it's like a fun fact that you can like go back and see it from different angles, kind of, you know. So I don't know about that one. Weird West, but I liked what I played so far. 2 hours in. Uncharted 4. We already know the story of that. You can dig into me in a second. Sackboy Big Adventure. I did not beat it yet, but we did play it. We played it together. We're gonna play again, I think, this weekend. Solar Ash? Question mark. Heavenly Bodies. That one's just hanging in the wind because Isaiah doesn't want to finish it with me. I'm like, when do you want to play it again? He's like, I don't know. I'll let you know. He's never gonna hit me up. I'm this close to deleting it, but I can't delete it because if I delete it, then we'll definitely never play because we're not gonna wait for it to install. And then on an impulse, on a random like Tuesday night, I bought Bully on the PS5. And I didn't play it. I also
You're
didn't
not playing Bully.
I started playing it like years ago because I bought it on like what I used to have this other PSN account that like I started when I like started working in the industry because I made like a second one and then I switched over. So like that one was on that account. That account is dead. It's floating in the ether. So I bought Bully because it was on sale. And I liked what I played of it. I played like, you know, a few hours before. So, but then I didn't even play it that night. I just bought it like it was like a fever dream situation. So that's what I would really like to get to. I have more for like want to play and shelved and abandoned, but that's what's really on my mental plate right now.
I know, you know, folks watching the show and listening cannot see the document. Janet has many bullet points. I'm not even counting. I probably could go through and count, but Janet has a lot of games listed for her backlog, and Janet's not playing most of these games. It is not happening. I can go through mine
too. I'll see you there at the end when I get the VR headset
I'll go through mine real quick and then I'll toss it back to you because mine's gonna be pretty brief, right? Like I have mine segmented in 3 categories: my currently ongoing games that I'm playing currently, games that I need to get back to, and then my dream scenario game, right? Games that I'm playing ongoing right now is WWE 2K22. I'm still enjoying that. I still keep hopping in to like get in some matches and like I'm continuing to level up in my faction mode, so I'm having fun with that. Returnal for the Ascension update. You know, I keep dipping back into the Tower of Sisyphus. I'm not spending as much time as I want to playing Returnal, mainly because like I'm finishing up some other games. Like I am on the final boss of Final Fantasy Origin Stranger of Paradise right now, and I'll talk about that later in the show. But like I'm gonna have that game beat in like an hour of playing or so. So I'm not necessarily even including that in here, but yeah, I guess you can throw that in there if you want. Yeah, Stranger of Paradise. And then also Genshin Impact, I want to start playing again. I've been on hiatus during this review season, and I've not touched the game since like early January, late December. And so I want to get back to that because like that's my comfort game. That's a game that I think it's half and half of. It's just an ongoing like thing that like I can do my dailies. I can just knock out this thing and feel like I'm making progress in something. But then also on the other half, it is comfort in the way that mechanically a lot of it is Breath of the Wild like, where like you just have an open world that you can kind of go whatever, do explore. You have the art style and like a world that evokes Breath of the Wild's Hyrule, and then also like even sound effects and even like the way the game controls all this stuff kind of reminds me of that, and so it's very comforting in that way, and I really like it for that. In terms of games I need to get back to, Mass Effect 2 I started in January. I got about 9 hours in, and then I got in the code for Dying Light 2 and Horizon, all that stuff, and I had to take time off from Mass Effect 2 to play those. Now that we're winding down on review season, I think I'm going to pick Mass Effect 2 back up because I was really enjoying that, and I really liked Mass Effect 1 when I played it last year. And so like I'm sold on the Mass Effect franchise, and I want to get back to it and play more and enjoy it. But so far I'm enjoying that. Want to get back to it. And then the other game I want to get back to is Guardians of the Galaxy, because I had played most of it right during our for our review last year. Tried to play more of it, got extremely bored and tired of the actual gameplay and the combat in the game. And it sucks because like I really like the story and I really like the characters and I really like the world and all this stuff, but the gameplay bored me so much that I just couldn't do it anymore. I had to put it down. I think now I've had enough time pass to where I think I can pick it up and be down to get into some of that the combat specifically. I can be down to get back into that again and wrap up the like 4 chapters, maybe 3 chapters that I have left in the game, which will only be a few hours.
It might only be 3 or 4 chapters, but it keeps going.
Oh,
it just keeps going.
If
Blessing,
I pick up the game,
not credits start rolling and the game keeps going.
God damn it! If I play this game for more than 4 hours, I want to finish it because I do want to know the ending of the story, and I know Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is going to come out someday, and I want to be ready for Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Because I have that in my abandoned, because I played way less than you though, so I will admit that if I was you, I might feel the same way about just like, let me just knock it out because I'm close. But I'm like, I'm just not, and I like the story a lot. Like I thought the story was awesome, even early on, which I know some people think that it's kind of like a slow start. Like I loved it from the jump. But yeah, I just don't like the gameplay. I do find the gameplay to be very rote, and it is a game, and I think a game where you don't like the gameplay is not a game that I at least want to play. I get maybe you want to go through it for the story, but I don't know. And I feel the same way as you, because I'm like, I know this is gonna come up, and like superhero games are so like popular and stuff too. Like I really want to, like I wanted to beat it, to say I beat it, to have a more rounded and like holistic opinion on it for content purposes. But I'm like, do you need? I don't know. I feel like you don't need it to like analyze Guardians of the Galaxy 2. You know what I mean? I feel you know what you know, which is the story is good and the gameplay's not good. But I knew that 2 hours in. You're like 9 hours in. It's still true.
And my thing is like, I am a fan of the story, right? Like it'd be one thing if I was like I don't like the gameplay and the story.
It might be YouTube o'clock, like I don't know.
YouTube
no commentary, let's play.
Just watch the rest of the cutscenes. And like I want to go through it because like I'm a fan of the story, right? I really do like the story, and I like oftentimes I'll ask myself like, oh fuck, I want to see through the end. I want to know like how these characters end up. Like I can guess because it's Guardians of the Galaxy and it's a superhero story. Like I assume everybody's not gonna fucking die unless Thanos pops up or something like that and he just snaps or does something crazy like that. I don't think that happens. If that happens, that's gonna be fucking crazy. But I do want to see it through the end. And yeah, like I don't have qualms with putting down a game that I'm just not enjoying, and that's pretty much what I did for Guardians. But I think now I'm starting to get back to the place where I'm ready, right? I don't think it's going to be too much of a grind for me. I think that's where I was, where 12 hours in, I'm playing this game and I'm going through the same gameplay loop, and I'm like, okay, I'm starting to suffer. I'm starting to just not like this at all, right? And like putting it down, taking a break, coming back to it. I don't think I'm going to hit that same level of suffering. I think I'm just going to be like, cool, I'm going to shoot some guys, punch some guys, do the party move, I forget what it's called, the tag in thing,
like rally or something. I don't know.
Up. What is some random names we can call it? Fuck, what was it called? Whatever, it doesn't matter. I'll do this.
I don't know.
The power
it's bothering me.
Yeah, it's bothering me too. I called it
Someone
hype up.
In the chat, let us know what.
Somebody in the chat.
It's something.
Party time.
I don't even know how to Google that.
Rager. Team Power. It's Sonic
like,
Heroes.
Go team! Like I don't know what it is.
Pep Talk. Wait, is it
called
Pep Talk?
Yeah. Huddle. It's like a huddle. It's a huddle meter or something. Let's see. It's definitely like there's a huddle meter, and it might be called Team Huddle then or something.
I love that we're stopping the whole podcast.
No, I mean this is like look until someone finds the answer. I'm like googling it now. I'm on screen right. I think it's called Huddle, but I don't know for sure.
As
Let's
you're-
just move on with our lives.
As you're looking it up, right? Yeah, that's a game that I do want to get back to. And then my last one is my dream scenario game, where if I find myself bored as hell and it seems like I have a lot of time to jump into a new game, I want to jump in. Ooh, actually, I have two of these.
It is the huddle.
It is the huddle.
Yeah.
What an unexciting name for
I
that
mean, you
mechanic.
are huddling. That is what you do. So
I feel like I threw out like 10 better names.
I hate that mechanic also. Like,
It's a-
I know
yeah,
people
I
find
hate
it
it
really
too.
heartwarming. I don't like it.
It was great in the first 5 hours. By the time I was doing it, like the 18th time, I was like, all right, I'm done. And I would always accidentally do it. That'd be the worst thing, is that like you press L1 to ready up your secondary ability. And then if you press, I think it's R1, which you would press some other button that was also another button used for a different thing, and I would always accidentally activate it. Very frustrating. But my dream scenario game, I have two. I just added one more. The first one I had here was Crosscode, because I downloaded that forever ago, and it continues to stare at me on my PlayStation 5 whenever I go to my downloaded games. Because like so many people recommended Crosscode to me when I put out the question of like, what's a game with 10 out of 10 combat and 10 out of 10 puzzles? People were like, yo, play some Crosscode, you'll love it. And so like I want to check out Crosscode, because that's also a game that I think just looks generally cool. Whenever I see gameplay of it, I'm like, oh, it looks like a fun time. And then Dark Souls. I want to go back and play through the Dark Souls franchise. I loved Elden Ring so much. I put in 90 hours to Elden Ring, and I do want to like go back and like catch up on the series. Who knows when I actually do that. That's going to be for when I have the free time and when I have the bandwidth and the willingness to like jump into Dark Souls. But after playing Elden Ring, I'm like, dude, I can play anything now. I can play any From Software game and understand the mechanics and understand exactly what they want me to do. That's how I feel.
Are you worried you might not enjoy it as much, given like how different it is than Elden Ring?
No, because like I mean I love Sekiro. I love
You're
Bloodborne.
still rolling.
I love Elden Ring. I can't imagine Dark Souls and Demon Souls, for that matter, are that different mechanically to where all that stuff wouldn't hit the same way. I think my one fear would be, how old does it feel? Because I imagine that like, Demon Souls obviously came out in like 2009, and the Demon Souls remake goes a long way in terms of polishing it up and doing all that. But then you have Dark Souls, which has remasters, doesn't really have a remake. And so when I jump into that game, that is going to be me jumping into an older game. I think that is going to be the thing that might make me go, ooh, like I might feel some of the oldness there. But if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like if I'm not feeling Dark Souls, it won't be the end of the world for me, because at that point I'm just jumping back into Elden Ring then, or Bloodborne, or any of these other games. But that is my list.
That's not too bad.
I know you have way more on your list.
Oh yeah, like I mean, I don't even know if it's worth. I'm just gonna shout these out quickly and then go into like what I'll actually be playing. So I have like my want to play, which I try to keep pretty thin, because I could go really like hardcore and be like, I want to finally play, BioShock. Like I mentioned that every now and then on content, but I don't have that on here because I know that's like pretty. I just know I'm not going to play it anytime soon, so I don't list it. But like Lego Star Wars, that's going to be contingent. A lot of these are tied to each other, is the thing. Because I'm like, I really want to hold back. I'm like, I don't want to do, again, the Lego Star Wars thing, which I might end up playing with Isaiah instead, because we had a couple... like a lot of the games I ended up playing with Isaiah, it turns out that we also kind of had like similar, like me and you with the FIFA thing, where they were all kind of the same sort of games, like kind of mini game-esque style. Like we played Fogs together, which we never beat, Heavenly Bodies, and Kiwi, and they're all, I mean, I like all those games a lot, but they're very like, they're all like physics movement based, kind of like, it's like Overcooked style games, right? Where they're all kind of scratching the same itch. And I think it's one that's more appealing to me than Isaiah as well. So we're thinking Lego Star Wars might be like, okay, let's start with like something more traditional in terms of a campaign. Moss Book 2, I'd like to get to that at some point. I don't know. Alan Wake, I just put that on there because I know I want to play it, because I never did. But I really liked, Controls. I want to dig into all the Remedy stuff. That ends up being also poignant for stuff that's coming out, which we'll get to later. Then like maybe Ghostwire Tokyo. Like I have it, and like I kind of hate being that person who like. Not that there's anything wrong with this, because like I think you should game how you want to game. Like if you only want to play games that get like 9s or 10s or 8s or 3s, like whatever you want to do, like live your life. But I'm like, oh, I was gonna play it, but then like I found out that like, oh, it's not that good, and now I don't want to play it, and I kind of hate that. Like I kind of just want, you know what I mean? But I can't unring that bell of knowing that like almost no one I know loves it. So I'm like, well,
I mean, you can still play it, right? What if they're all wrong?
Right, that's the thing. But I'm like, I know they're not. Like I don't know. It's like, do I want to put in the, and then how, the classic question of like, how much time do I want to give to that, if I want to give any time to it? I have the Spyro Ignited trilogy that I bought on a sale, and I have like 2 indie games like installed, and then I have stuff I gave up on. So that's shelved. I may never get back to, like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I don't know what's gonna happen with that. That is currently shelved. I don't know.
Damn.
You know,
along with Psychonauts 2, I guess.
Psychonauts 2 is abandoned. It's like below shelved. That's like probably abandoned is what, again, this is all GG up terminology. Abandoned is like, I don't think I'm ever really going back to this, but like maybe one day I'm digging through the dumpster of my gaming life and I pick this up and I'm like, this, and some of these games are good. Like, it's not like the games are necessarily bad. Like, people have Elden Ring. I don't think it's for me. It's in the abandoned. GTA trilogy, I actually really like and would love to finish, but I don't think I'm getting to that anytime soon. So it's abandoned. Hot Wheels Unleashed, same deal. Liked it. Abandoned. Psychonauts 2, didn't like it. Abandoned. Guardians, we just talked about. Abandoned. Forgotten City, I wasn't like super hot on, and then I kind of knew the ending already anyway, so I was like, okay, I'm not getting to this. But yeah, I think trying to be realistic, and reel myself further in. I try to get stuff as low as I can. Horizon Forbidden West Platinum, I'd like to keep exploring that. That's gonna be on my list. Weird West, because that just came out. I want to do that. Uncharted 4, I'm working on. It's got to set up a time to like do. I think I'm like a good amount of sessions away though, which is like rough because I'm only like halfway through the game, I think, based on what chat was saying yesterday, like 2 days ago. Bully, I don't know. I bought it because I wanted to have fun, so maybe one day I'll just boot that up. I don't know if I'll stream it or what. And in Sackboy, I am actively working on. We're on the last world. We have one.
Oh, nice.
I think there's only one world to go. I mean, according to the map, I didn't look up a guide to double check. Like, if like secretly the other half of the game opens, and then I'm just fucked. But
that's my biggest fear sometimes when I'm like, man, this game is about to wrap up, and then like, but I'm like, what if there's another half that I don't know about? What if it just keeps on going? What if it's the last?
Like the last level has 8 levels inside of it, and now you're like, well, I said I was gonna finish it, and now I'm up till 3 in the morning working on this. So yeah, I think realistically, those are my 3, 5. And the things that I think I'm gonna like lightly couch are like Solar Ash, which I liked. Okay, you know, I wasn't in love with it, but I like it as like we're skating around and stabbing things in the eye. I like that, so I'm like,
of
cool.
course, satisfying.
Yeah, Heavenly Bodies I enjoyed. Again, that's with Isaiah, and Fogs is also with Isaiah. So
yeah, I need you to know that you have 25 games on your list. Just so you know, you have 25 games.
And it's funny you say Bully too, because Mike and I were on stream yesterday, and we had chat vote on what I was gonna do next the next time I hang out on stream, continue God of War or start up Bully Scholarship Edition, and chat really wanted Bully, so we're gonna.
Bully's fun. Like I played, and you know, I know some elements maybe like don't age as well or whatever, but on the whole,
most
though,
Rockstar games
like,
though have those aspects.
Yes, but on the whole, I was surprised that like there wasn't an insane amount of that, you know. It's a very, and like I was so into Bully, like playing it. Like you can skateboard, there's like these fun quests they have, like you can go to English class and like do, like I think that game is like such a freaking blast. And I've started it a couple of times. That's a classic, like a game I've played and I know pretty well, but I've never actually finished.
And like
I've done the same thing with Bully.
You're into the like games sometimes for the drama, and like Janet, it's like classic fucking high school drama shit. Like dude,
do I need to replay Bully? You guys
hang out with us
honestly,
on our streams
like,
when we do it, because it's gonna be a fucking blast.
And that's why I bought Bully again. And it was like super cheap. It was like $8 or something like that, which to me is like pretty affordable. Like I bought Bully and I want to play Bully because I know like that's guaranteed just good time. Not that these other games aren't awesome games, like Horizon, Uncharted, Weird West, Sackboy, like all different forms of fun. But like Bully is just pure like blockbuster energy joy to me, you know. And
you just named a bunch of other great games, and you're like, but Bully.
Horizon, one of Rockstar's best games, people would argue, is Bully. You know, and
I love Horizon. Like that's my favorite game on this list. That's the best game I think on the list of these games that I'm listing off. But like Bully, I just know it's gonna be like, it's gonna be fun, it's gonna be weird, it's gonna be surprising. You know, I'm picking locker locks, and like I got kicked out because it's like the girls' dormitory, and I'm like reading flyers.
I'm right there with you. Bully's special.
My parents, like it's like a certain kind of fun. That doesn't mean that it's better than Horizon, but like
I just thought it was a funny.
Bully.
It was a funny list, and then you get to like, but Bully is different.
No,
but
man,
also,
but like,
let's put some respect.
Wrong.
Barry was talking about how you argue that Bully could be the best. Let's put some respect on the Warriors that came out on PS2. All right, Warriors, fucking fantastic game. One of the best beat 'em ups I've ever played.
One of the best.
Of course, I'm just saying there's a lot of Rockstar games that came out on PS2. All right, and all of them.
Like obviously the best one is Table Tennis.
I mean, obviously, we're not talking about table tennis right now. People know about table tennis now. That's a masterpiece. I'm talking about the Warriors. I'm talking about Midnight Club, Dub Edition. I've never played Dub Edition. I've always wanted to. But the GTA
I
San
did. It's
Andreas,
fun.
Rockstar is
It's
goated.
good
They're
though.
a
I like
goated
it. I like that game.
developer. Bring me GTA 6. Janet, before we talk about Tomb Raider and the next Max Payne games, I want to tell people out there about patreon.com/kindafunnygames where they can go and get the show ad free. And speaking of ads, let us tell you about our sponsors.
Shout out to MapleStory for sponsoring this episode. After 17 years of rich MMO gameplay wrapped in a unique 2D side-scroller, MapleStory is ready to proudly lean into its cute pixelated aesthetic. The aggressively cute campaign aims to showcase the unexpected juxtaposition of cuddly smiley characters with rich multi-layered MMO gameplay. The campaign focuses on telling a story of immense character customization, a vast array of weapons and mounts to choose from, a seemingly endless horizon of lands to explore and battle, all while dealing huge amounts of damage to monsters of all shapes and sizes. I know a lot of people out there love MapleStory, so hey, come check out this armed and adorable campaign. This is your world. With over 40 classes and thousands of cosmetic customization options, you can play how you want, and there's just so much good stuff. 18 years of content, no signs of slowing means you'll never get bored. You can go to maplestory.nexon.net. That's maplestory.nexon.net for more, or you can just click the link in the description. This episode is brought to you by MeUndies. I love MeUndies. You guys have heard me talk about MeUndies for years at this point. I'm always wearing the MeUndies shirt, the MeUndies lounge pants, the MeUndies undies, the MeUndies socks. I can go on and on and on. If MeUndies putting out a product, chances are Tim Geddes is wearing them. The MeUndies membership is literally designed to make your life easier with free shipping and returns on every order, savings on virtually everything they make, exclusive sales, and early access to their newest stuff. There's kind of no reason not to join. Get super soft undies, bralettes, or socks shipped directly to your door and live a more comfortable life knowing you always have what you need at your fingertips when you step out of the shower. MeUndies has a great offer for all of you. Any first-time purchasers, you can get 15% off. For a limited time, if you sign up for their free-to-join MeUndies membership, you can get 25% off your first membership item. To get 25% off your first membership item or 15% off your first order and 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/kindafunny. That's MeUndies.com/kindafunny.
Janet, what happened this week in PlayStation?
It's Hopes and Dreams hour, even though this is going to take an hour, but it's all about, upcoming games. So first we got Hopes and Dreams for the next Tomb Raider, pulling from Ash Parrish at The Verge with the headline, Crystal Dynamics announces the next Tomb Raider built in Unreal Engine 5. Buried at the tail end of, the article reads, buried at the tail end of Epic Games' State of Unreal presentation was the news that Crystal Dynamics is working on a new entry in the Tomb Raider series. Tomb Raider launched on the original PlayStation in 1996 and has spawned numerous sequels, a reboot, and 3 movies. It's been 4 years since the last Tomb Raider game, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, launched to tepid reviews, and it is not known if this new game will continue where Shadow left off. React.
Sorry, Greg Miller, that Avengers seems like it's the time's counting down on that one. But also this is exciting.
The sun
right?
is setting.
The sun is setting on Avengers. What's the Hulk phrase? The sun is coming down, big guy.
Sun's getting real low.
Sun's getting real low. Sun's getting real low. I think this is exciting, right? Like Crystal Dynamics returning to Tomb Raider. They mentioned that like Shadow of the Tomb Raider came out to like somewhat tepid reviews, and I think part of that is they transitioned that over to Eidos Montreal, right? And so Crystal Dynamics didn't get to like have their hands on with that one. And so like being able to have that time off from Tomb Raider and then make Avengers and then like be able to return to Tomb Raider. I think that's cool. I think, it's been the last Tomb Raider game I played was the Tomb Raider reboot that came out in like 2013, I want to say. And I had a fantastic time with it. I'm curious to see like what they do with this next one that gets people hype. I think that's what I'm that's what I'm dying to see. Like, what does that reveal trailer look like? Like, what is going to be the gimmick, or what is going to be like? Is it going to be a revamped Lara Croft? Like, how do they go about it? That's kind of where I'm at. Like, Janet, I don't know if you have hype for a new Tomb Raider game.
Yeah, my history with Tomb Raider is pretty sparse. I've only played, I think I was Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I always mix up like the last two, basically. I think I actually was playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Shadow's the third one.
I was playing Rise, I think. What's the one that starts off and then there's like that big ass bear? So, like the bear in the
That
mountains.
could be
It's
all
like,
of them.
really?
All I know is that
Is
Lara
she-
Croft is getting the
is
hands
she-
in that game.
Is she always fighting a bear? Like
She's
the
always
whole
fighting
time?
like
I
whatever the
think-
most dangerous thing is.
It's like Siberian wilderness. Like, is she always in Siberia? I don't know. Like,
if it's
I'm
winter,
throwing things
then
out
it's
there.
probably
Winter,
Rise.
that was the second one. That was
Yeah.
Rise.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I enjoyed that one. For the bit that I did play, I just never finished it. Like, I fell off like fairly early, so I wouldn't say I have like a lot of big comments on that. Also, so this is my backlog thing growing again. What Tomb Raider game should I play before or should I not play any and just go in cold? Like, what should what's the recommendation here?
I really liked the original reboot Tomb Raider, right? Like I like the one that came out in 2013. Then you can get that remastered for PS4. Rise of the Tomb Raider gets a lot of love. I forget what score IGN gave it. It might have been a 10. I think Ryan McCraffy might have given that one a 10. I'm sad because like I would have played that at launch, but that was the Tomb Raider game that came out exclusively on Xbox, if you remember this. And like at the time I didn't have an Xbox, and also came out the same day as Fallout 4. And so like I was doubling down on Fallout 4 as a big Fallout fan. And so like that's one that I never came back around to. And then like I feel like since then there's been kind of like a chill, no pun intended because of winter, but like chill on Tomb Raider.
IGN gave it a 9.3.
A 9.3 is what they gave it, which is a
Lucy
really incredible
O'Brien
score.
who reviewed that.
Oh, then I definitely heard like Ryan McCaffrey talk about it on Unlocked then, and he was giving it all the praise. But like people seem to love that one, and that's one that I also like. I think I came back around and started it, but like never actually made my way through it. Like I would say if you want to, if you feel like it's necessary to hop back into Tomb Raider, I would say just hop into Rise of the Tomb Raider. It seems like that's the best one.
This will be like the third time I'm restarting Rise of the Tomb Raider because I keep getting to like the interrogation scene and then I just stop, which I know is like super early. But yeah, I was really impressed by like all the systems, and then especially given like when the game came out, like it didn't like I had played that only a few years ago and it didn't feel like any sense of old. Yeah, I mean, this is not just more Uncharted, which Uncharted is Tomb Raider. It goes the opposite direction, but like, am I going to be burnt out from Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy?
I don't think so. Like, I think the gameplay is different enough. Like, yeah,
because of the bears.
Because the bears, and like, yeah, it is adventuring. It is like raiding tombs and shit, right? Like, but I think what separates Tomb Raider from Uncharted is Tomb Raider feels a bit. It feels like it dials down the cinematic nature of the game and dials up like the exploration and dials up like the crafting and like more of the gameplay side of things, which I actually really liked about Tomb Raider. That was the thing that I liked about Tomb Raider more than I liked about Uncharted, right? Like, I liked the way that game played. I liked the systems. I liked the bow and arrow. I liked the weapons. Like, I liked the actual feel of gameplay more in Tomb Raider than in Uncharted. Though, like, cinematic-wise and story-wise, I think I always preferred Uncharted more than Tomb Raider. It's that give and take. And so, like, if you're somebody who... If part of the reason why you don't love Uncharted is the gameplay, I think you might find some things to love a bit more in Tomb Raider. And also, like, it's not as Tomb Raider, I wouldn't say is as like pulpy as Uncharted. Like Uncharted feels like such a blockbuster, moment to moment, characters are quippy as hell kind of story, kind of experience. Tomb Raider, I think, is a bit more toned down. Like it feels a bit more serious. Like Lara Croft isn't like quipping left and right. She's dying brutally, like very brutally with all the death. Like that was the thing that stuck out to me in 2013 when I played Tomb Raider. Like she's getting impaled, she's getting stomped on.
Yeah, I wish they didn't do that. I don't think you need to do that. It's kind of weird, but that
I don't know. They might have stopped. I don't know if they kept doing that into Shadow.
I hope not. If they did, I'd like that.
I mean, that's a very 2013 thing, though, too. Like Last of Us did that shit.
Yeah, but like Last of Us is like post-apocalyptic.
Yeah,
like,
the only games I think are like I like those kind of things for would be, you know, Last of Us. I feel like that's more the thing that happens because it's like, I don't know, like you're getting torn. Yeah, that's how you die. Like you get torn into something. It'd be weird if they just fell down. But like that, and then like horror games, I think like when it's appropriate for the setting. And I get that, like, you know, she's hardcore in the wild and like it would be crazy if you were killed by a bear. But like, do I need to watch it that vividly?
It's like if Nathan Drake,
I mean?
you know, it's like if death animations for Uncharted were like Nathan Drake getting his arms torn off slowly, and like you as a player having to watch 10 seconds of that, you know, like that's kind of what Tomb Raider kind of did for 2013.
But again, from that brief time with Shadow too, like Keegan Hill in the chat, you know, backstage points out that there's a lot more like surviving and crafting, like almost similar to Horizon in some senses. And that's what the big thing that stuck out to me.
We don't call it backstage; we call them the Trogs. Okay.
Yeah, you know, I knew one of y'all was gonna mention that. I was just wondering who it would be, and it's to no surprise it's Barrett Courtney, of course.
God damn.
But I mean, Barrett's the all-seeing eye. Barrett knows everything.
I'm a big fan of Min-Max. That Ben Hansen knows how to host a podcast.
He's like, what year is,
What about
this
us?
thing? I got it. What footage? It's here already. It's ready now. But yeah, I think God, when am I dipping back into this though? We'll see. I don't know.
You
We'll see
also
if I get
don't
around to
have
it.
to. Also,
I
Barrett,
know, but like, there's just so much
sending you a
going
thing
on all
in
the time.
I'm sending you a thing in Assets, Barrett. Then
I hope it's like to prove that you're a better host than the Min-Max crew.
it's like my host reel that I've been making for this exact
what-
moment.
yeah, I'm so curious what this is.
Nothing can
Um,
top, Ben and Kyle Hilliard, the great rapport. Oh, what is happening here?
What about
Okay,
the
hold on.
Janet and Blessing report?
Yeah,
I don't know
are
if
you
you've heard this
kidding?
podcast. Let's take all this energy that we're putting in right now, all right, and redirect it toward John Drake and how
Oh my God.
he's over there sitting at Disney
What is
doing
happening
nothing.
here? I did not play enough. I don't think I rolled credits on this game.
This game is brutal. Like right now, for audio listeners,
Ah!
I am showing what death scenes in Tomb Raider looks like. This game is brutal as hell. Like, look at this.
Like,
She just
what-
got fucking
yeah, like-
impaled by a man.
This is too much.
Another
Right,
scene where
like-
like we don't have to show much of this because like this is a family podcast. But like, look
Oh
at
my
this.
god!
That's what I'm talking
Yes.
about.
It is straight
It
up
is so
horror
fucking
film.
brutal. This game.
For no reason. Like I don't know what's with that. So I'd like that to be less there in the future. So that's what I'm looking forward to. But speaking of looking forward to things, next up we got Remedy and Rockstar Games announced Max Payne 1 and 2 remake for PS5. This comes over from Matt Kim over at IGN. The article reads: Remedy and Rockstar Games have announced they will be remaking Max Payne and Max Payne 2: The Fall of Max Payne. In a surprise announcement, Remedy will work with Rockstar under a new publishing agreement to remake the first Max Payne games for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S. Remedy will handle development while Rockstar will finance the project, which will be in line with a typical Remedy AAA game production, end quote. The Max Payne remakes will also be developed on Remedy's Northlight game engine, the same engine used to develop Control and the upcoming Alan Wake 2. Quote, we are thrilled when our longtime friends at Remedy approached us about remaking the original Max Payne games, said Rockstar founder Sam Houser. We are massive fans of the work the Remedy team has created over the years, and we can't wait to play these new versions. Are you excited for these remakes, Blessing?
I'm very excited for these remakes. So like Max Payne 1, I did enjoy a lot back playing it during the PS2 era. And Remedy is just one of those studios that like right now, whatever game they put out, I'm down to try it out. I'm down to check it out. The thing that shocks me is how many games that Remedy is working on. Like I feel like we're getting a new announcement from them yearly of like, we partnered up with this big publisher, right? Like they're partnered up with Epic. They're partnered up with like or like they're partnered up with Epic to put out like I think the Control multiplayer game. I think it's called Vanguard. They're doing that. They're doing like fucking Alan Wake 2, right? And now you have fucking Max Payne 1 and 2 remake, and they also have like Condor that they're working on. I think there's also a Control sequel. They're busy, like they're kind of off the chain with how many projects they have going on right now. But I'm so excited for a Max Payne game that looks like Control, right? That like has that level of fidelity, that like has that level of like visual effects. Of course, Max Payne had the classic slow motion effects where like you would dive as Max Payne, and then like as you're diving midair and shooting your dual wielded guns, the time slows down. Like you're aiming all over the place. That stuff is so fun in the classic Max Payne, and I think it'll become even more fun in a 2022, or I guess like in a modern Max Payne game. And so I'm very excited for this. Does this excite you?
Yeah, I'm heavy into Control. Like I really loved Control, and that's kind of my entry point with Remedy. And now I'm kind of digging into like what else they have, what they have coming up. So for me, this is like a nice like point of, okay, now I can play this game in a way that I probably wouldn't have played it otherwise. There are definitely games that I will go back to, even if they don't have remakes or remasters, if I just feel like it's of enough interest and I think it's gonna like, hold up enough and all these other different elements. But for me, like there's always that convenience factor of it being a remake. Obviously, I'm always team just do new stuff, but I feel like they're also doing that. So yeah, this works totally well for me. I feel like this is a happy medium of like, look, we are innovating in new IP with like Control and kind of turning that into a series and making more content there. We're also going back to some old things that, it hit generally, but maybe we're missing certain elements. Like I know with even Alan Wake, the remaster, like kind of definitely there were critiques, right? I think there's room for growth with Alan Wake 2. And then, this kind of loved franchise.
I think going back to Max Payne and like remaking it is going to do a lot for one, reigniting the excitement around Max Payne, because Max Payne has been gone for a while, obviously, because Rockstar has not been like doing shit with it, and like I think one that breathes life into the IP, even though I don't know if Rockstar is going to do more with the IP after they remake it, because Rockstar still owns that IP. Like, is Remedy going to come back and say, let us make Max Payne 4? Maybe that could be really cool. But regardless, that's also a game. You talk about revisiting games from the past, like that is still an option. I think Max Payne is kind of a tough one to revisit. Like, that game, I don't think it's aged well in gameplay. Like, it feels like an early PS2 game. The cutscenes, I believe, if I remember correctly, were like more static comic book style cutscenes as opposed to like actual cutscenes. I'm curious to see if they keep that with the remake, or if they make actual like cutscene stuff. I would like to see them fully realized and like actually fully develop and design cinematic cutscenes for Max Payne, because I think that could be cool as hell. But I think I think those are tough games to go back to. And so to like remake that, like I think what they do with it is make something old new again and make it feel like something that is modern, something that like, something that we call remake in the way that like Final Fantasy 7 remake is remake, right? Or Resident Evil 2 remake is remake. These aren't the old games, right? These are completely different, but they're inspired and they're adapted, and it feels like you're jumping into something that's brand new. I think that's what the Max Payne remake is going to be. And I think there's so much opportunity for that, because like at the end of the day, Max Payne, when you tear it down, right, it's just a fucking gritty, hardcore ass like single player third person shooter where this guy dives a lot, and also he does drugs and he's a cop. That's kind of Max Payne stripped down. And so like if you take those elements, you can easily make that into a game in 2022. And I think you make that into a game and make it something that feels fresh and feels cool, especially coming off of Control, which also was fresh and cool, right? I'm very excited. Out of all of the wild announcements from this week between Monkey Island, Tomb Raider, and this, I think this is the thing that gets me most excited.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of like fanfare for it. I also love that this announcement was just like a long like screenshot of like just a bunch of text. They're just like, "Yep, we're doing this, and here's the details." Which not everything needs to be super ceremoniously done, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of excitement around this. I think this is probably the thing I saw most on my timeline as well in terms of like hype levels. I think just because it kind of is almost the in-between of like those three announcements, where it has like the nostalgia element, but there's also just like more love for it than something like Monkey's, like louder appreciation for it than Monkey's Island, because obviously Monkey's Island is like super iconic in terms of that genre, which is hilarious because I played that was like one of the first games like I had on, I think it was one of like at least one entry in the franchise on my PS2, I want to say, and like I remember playing it and like then hearing about it as an adult and people being like, that's like one of the best games of that genre, it's so iconic, it like set the base for so much, and I'm like, oh really? Like I didn't have any like concept that I was playing like such a big deal game. And then even later than that, people were like, oh, which one did you play? No, that was the bad one. Like you didn't play actually the good version of it. So I have such a weird relationship with the Monkey Island franchise. So I'll be excited to kind of start fresh and figure out what the heck is this thing and how much am I into it. But what do we got going on right now with PlayStation picks?
Janet, as far as the big releases this week, right? We got Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga that came out for PS5 and PS4 on April 5th. MLB The Show 2022 that's coming out on PS5 and PS4 that came out April 5th. Chrono Cross: The Radical Dreamers Edition came out on PS4 on April 7th. Godfall Ultimate Edition came out on PS5 and PS4 April 7th, and then Slipstream came out on PS5 and PS4 on April 7th. Baron, I do have a trailer for this one because I do want to give a quick shout out. April 7th was lit. Wait, what was that?
April 7th was just lit. There was just like so much coming out.
Man, I mean, that's the day we're recording.
Cool. Okay, I love this. What am I looking at here?
Yeah, so this is Slipstream, right? I'm pulling from Push, where Semi Barker, he reviewed it, gave it a 7 out of 10, and says, this is pure nostalgia. With scorching synthesizers and optional scan lines, it's a tantalizing ode to a timeless era of arcade racers, and one we reckon even Yu Suzuki himself would be proud to put his name on. And yeah, if you're watching the video version, right, Bear's playing it. It is basically it's a racing game with like, it's a racing game that is very stylized, right? A lot of drifting going on. It looks like a classic arcade racer. It looks like something that came from like either like it's like not N64 era, like it's like 3D in the N64 era style,
like
but
high
also
fidelity in a low res. Like it's it's evoking like a lower res era, but like if we had the technology to make it look as clean as they wanted it to look. Almost.
Yeah, it's like high fidelity, pixelated, but also like it reminds me of Cruis'n USA. It reminds me of something like that. It looks really cool.
2D, but it's 3D, so it's not HD 2D. Y'all know what I mean. It looks really cool, but it also, I'm not gonna front. Looking at the trailer, I was like gut reaction. I'm like, oh my god, this is so exciting. I love the look of this. And then second thought was, this kind of hurts my eyes, which I feel like that's true nostalgia. So like, I'm down for it. Sure. I'm down for it.
100%. We also got Lake. That's coming out on PS5 and PS4 April 8th. And Janet, this is one that I think you added. What do you want
Yes.
to tell me about Lake?
Lake is getting ported over to PS5. It originally came out on the Xbox and I want to say PC, but I don't know offhand. And it's a story game. It's like a sim game. Essentially, the pitch is take a break from your busy city job and deliver mail in the relaxing countryside. So it's that classic, oh, I'm going home after, being away in the city for my work. And now, conveniently, my dad just set me up with this like job delivering mail. Like I start now, and you just spend the time, like all your quests are like delivering different packages. And it's like a really well done in its like sim elements where you are, driving around in the truck. You can also set it to, I think, auto drive as well if you don't want to have to deal with the controls and all that. And you give like these different packages. And as you give the packages to the townspeople, you kind of learn more about them and their lives and their problems. And it's super fun. It's got like little radio stations that you can listen to. You can actually look at the different, like where you are on the street. Like it kind of, again, is really heavy into that sim aspect of it. And it's super nostalgia driven. Like there's a, VHS store and they have like all of these really fun, like nods to actual, like in real life IPs, but like not using the actual IP because, licensing and stuff. And it's super detailed in that area specifically, which is really cool. We're seeing it now. It's called the Flick Shack, I think. And there's romance options as well. Ranging from like, you can also have like queer romance options too, which is cool. And yeah, it's just a really fun, like adventure game. Like I think if you like that genre, it is sort of a must play. I will say it's not like I would rate it insanely high. Like I don't love it as much as I like, Life is Strange, True Colors or anything, but I really enjoyed this one. It's super fun. And it's, I would say it's challenging to get a game like this and have it be of this level of quality. I play a lot of from this genre, and this is definitely one of the standout ones where when I saw it was getting ported, I'm like, yeah, this is something that you should pay attention to and play. If like you're hearing the pitch and you're like, oh yeah, this is up my alley, you're probably going to enjoy it.
Hell yeah. Janet, would you pick to play on PlayStation this week?
What I picked to play, my God, I feel so embarrassed because I'm like, did I even play this game this specific week? But right now I'm working on Weird West, which a lot of people I think know from more like Game Pass and stuff because that's where it's on Game Pass. But I have it on PS5, so it's there as well, PlayStation 4. And I really like it. It's an immersive sim. It is, I'm only 2 hours into it, so I'm pretty early. But it's got, some voice acting in it. I think it's voice acted really well. It lets you make some decisions. So, stuff like how you're going to interrogate this person and sort of the pitches that you used to be. God, what do they call it when you take like a bounty hunter? I guess like you were a bounty hunter back in the
like
day,
hunting people down.
Yeah, but you're off that life. But now you're back in the game because like someone took your husband, and I'm like, yes, drama. I'm here for it. Let's go. You can
like John Wick.
Sure. I mean, a lot of things are like John Wick, but yeah, sure. It's literally 1-to-1. But it's like lots of great details. Again, it's immersive sim, so it's kind of par for the course with the genre. But you can get like a shovel and like bury corpses and stuff. If you see a dead animal, you could bury that. You can like pick up food. You can burn yourself on the fire when there's oil. Like it makes like the fire be like bigger, which obviously common sense. But like it's cool. They have like all these different little details added in. There's stealth in the game. I think the weakest part of it so far for me is the gunplay because it's kind of like that stiff arcadey feel, which is definitely a stylistic choice, but also I feel like to me that is very clearly the weakest part of the game. And if you've played Oregon Trail on Apple Arcade, the gunplay kind of reminds me of that. It is better than that, but like when you get out of your wagon, you have to shoot some like animals. It kind of feels like that level of unwieldy. But they do have like slow down stuff. So it kind of like reminds me a bit of like Fallout in that sense as well. So I'm kind of getting a lot of different, notes from games that I've really enjoyed. And the sum of its parts, like I'm really liking Weird West so far. And it gets weird. It does get like kind of, I don't want to spoil anything, but like, cause when I started streaming it, I was like playing and people were like, how weird is this game? Scale 1 to 10. And I'm like, oh, it's super normal. Like I'm just living my life. And then like crazy shit happens. And I was like, oh, it's getting weird. And then crazier shit happens. And I'm like, what the fuck is this game? So I'm very invested just from that first 2 hours on how this is going to play out and what other kind of choices and things I get to make. And there's like factions and like people have different opinions of you based on your decisions. Like it's really fleshed out and really cool. And I'm really into it right now. So that's what I picked up.
Oh yeah, I was wondering a lot about that one because that's one that Paris from the KindaFunny Xcast, you might have heard of him.
Yes.
He talks about it a lot.
That's why that was on my radar. Like it's been on my radar since we did the draft over on Xcast, and he was like, this is one of like, he picked it up in his draft. So I'm like, okay, clearly like he thinks this is going to be a really good game. So like, let me check it out. And so far I'm really enjoying it. So shout out to Paris for that recommendation for sure.
Nice. For me, the game I picked to play was Stranger Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. I feel like I've been talking about this game nonstop, and I honestly I can't wait
I want to hear
to
more.
stop.
I'm invested. I'm
I
like
can't wait
into
to
this.
stop talking about this game, and I think this might be one of the last times because I'm at the final boss right now. Of course, like I played it for 4 hours straight, 4.5 hours straight the other day on stream where Janet was hanging out and was watching me just like play through the final hours of this game. And the game gets so bonkers in its last hours, and I cannot believe the places where it goes that like actually captured me for a game that the whole time I was like, I don't give a fuck about any of these characters, like what's going on. I do not care. I actually started to care toward the end, which is a huge feat for this game to like turn it around on me that way. But it's a game that continues to be fun. It's a game that's like I can't get over how good its combat system is. I've talked about it before that like I wouldn't be mad to see this combat system in like other Final Fantasy games. Like if Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 2, like I love the Final Fantasy 7 Remake combat system, but like if they figure out a way to like, hey, when you are out in the world, it is like the Stranger Paradise combat system versus like if you're a boss fight, then it's the 7 Remake combat system. If they mixed it or matched it some way like that, I can be down with it because like it honestly like has its shit down. It's actually like a really, really fun to engage with combat system because of how many different weapons there are, how many different builds, the skill trees, the different ways that you can equip moves to certain combos, like the amount of customization and the amount of choice you have in how you go about combat is really impressive. And like even the animation for a lot of the combat stuff is really fun. Like there are different kinds of weapons, obviously. So like holding a big sword and having like a certain class will give you access to like the sword spin move, which is like a really powerful move where like you literally just you swing your sword like you're Zelda, right? Or not Zelda, sorry, whoa, like your Link. I apologize, everybody. I can't believe I did that.
Gamer over here.
Oh my god, get me the fuck out of here. What did I say? But yeah, you like do like a fun like sword spin move that is really satisfying to do versus if you
Celeste
choose.
is the mountain, okay? It's the mountain. It's not the
It's not the character. The character's name is
People should stop doing that though, by the way.
Madeline.
Yes.
Thank you. Doing what?
Like the whole like the game is named a thing that will clearly make you think it's the character's name, but it's not the character's name.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Chicory. Not the character's name.
Chicory is not the character's name. Yeah.
No.
It's. I honestly I kind of like it because you can tell who's like paying attention, who's not. Right? You can catch people.
But that's you though. You got caught up, so you're admitting that.
But like
that you were
nobody
caught.
thinks. I really think. What's his name? Link's name is Zelda.
Dude.
His name's Link, right? That's what
I don't think you've ever played a Zelda game.
He's too qualified to host a
Listen,
PlayStation
this is a
podcast.
PlayStation
He's like, I've
podcast.
blocked out all other IP. I
If I
have no
said-
memory.
Listen, if I said right now that I never played a Zelda game, these folks would praise me, all right? On this PlayStation podcast, they'd be like, he's our next leader.
Yeah, these
I was
Sony
too busy
ponies out
playing
here.
Horizon 1
Exactly.
to play Breath of the Wild.
I would never touch a Zelda game. But yeah, no, fucking Final Fantasy Origin Stranger Paradise, really fun game. I can't get enough of it, but I'm about to beat it. And when I beat it, I think I'm putting it down. I think I'm done.
When are
after that. I
you?
don't think I'm gonna do side stuff.
When are you gonna beat it? Are you gonna beat it on stream again?
I don't
Or
know.
you
I was gonna
Or the
beat it.
privacy of your own quarters?
Am I gonna beat it in the privacy of my own quarters? I was gonna beat it yesterday. Ended up not. I might. The thing is, I'm busy. I got a life to live, Janet. And so, like, honestly, I might beat it right after this episode. That might be the go-to. That might be what
Like
I do.
in your own, like
in my private, yeah, in privacy, not in front of
Man.
people.
Is there just
What?
because
That's
you
gonna be
don't
it's
want
gonna
the
be what?
stress? Like, is it because you don't want to work? Like, I understand, but like,
It'll be a
I
short
kind of want to.
stream.
I kind of want to see. Send me you beating it at least on PlayStation messages. Like, send me the
Okay.
clip of when you kill Chaos,
I'll think about it.
so that
That's
I can.
the-
Why? It takes 10 seconds. The show runs right there. What
Well,
are
like,
you
you're not
hiding?
gonna get my audio. You're not gonna get me in the little box reacting.
Yeah,
to
but I
it.
want to. Like, I was so invested watching like all those hours, and then you got to the end, and you're like, I can't do it right now. Good night. And I was like, damn. Like, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll see it later. And then you're like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna do it. It's like the final episode never dropped. You know what I mean?
You know what? For you, Jan, I'll stream. I'll stream.
Woody's Roundup got canceled
Ooh,
right
okay.
before the final episode, you know? It's very similar. vibes
Woody's
here.
Roundup.
Yeah, and Toy Story 2, blessing. Jesus, watch a Pixar movie. Play a
Oh.
Nintendo game.
He's
you
too in on
fucking fake
PlayStation.
gamer, bro.
If it's not PlayStation, I don't know the brand. All right, like.
Okay, when are you streaming it though?
Tell
So
me
I can
something
make
I
sure.
know.
Because I don't want to be that viewer that's like, oh, please do this for me, and then they're not there. You know, we've all been that
Today's
person, but
Thursday?
yes.
All right. Tonight I'm getting dinner with friends. Maybe when I come back from dinner, but I'm hosting KFG tomorrow, so I want to go to bed at a decent time.
Okay.
Tomorrow's Friday.
Yes.
Hold on, let me check my calendar. Do I have plans? Did you say yes with a TH at the end?
I don't.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't have anything on my calendar tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. Either tomorrow or late night tonight. I'll stream.
How late is late
I'll
night?
kill chaos.
Like how
Like,
washed are you?
like
that
after 10.
some- Okay, that's late night. I
Definitely
think
not
it's okay.
past 11:30.
Okay.
If it's past
Alright.
11:30, I'm going to sleep.
Can you
That's
just
the
text me if you're gonna go live? Because I don't want to have to do the note. I don't have to reconfigure the
Do you know how much work
notifications.
that is? Do you know all the things I do
Yeah, I
already
have
when
to
I'm
do-
going live?
Fine.
I have to tweet. I have to like set up Streamlabs or OBS. I gotta like go into my
You know
my
what? Okay, if you're
dashboard.
well, see, I
I
don't know.
gotta
I'm
set
gonna
the
put
name for my stream.
I'll figure something out. I'll do the. You're gonna do the work of
Literally-
the stream. I'll
literally
do the work
click-
of.
Click the bell. Get the stream notification.
Yeah, but then I have to turn on the Twitch notifications. Like I don't have any of that set up, so I'll turn it on. I'll turn it on since you're willing
You
to.
can also do
boot it up.
tweet notifications. I'll tweet out when I stream.
I don't have Twitter notifications on either. Like now on my phone.
Well, I've done all I can to help
Yeah,
you.
no. It's just I know like people are surprised by that because I'm always on the internet, but like I don't have any notifications on for almost anything because I find that overwhelming. So
Janet, to close out this episode, I want to read a write-in from patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames from Ryan Paola Higgins, who writes in and says, "Hello, just a quick one for PlayStation picks. Lawn Mowing Simulator had launched in the PS4 and PS5 today. This is what I'm reading verbatim, by the way. Was the first and last, and this isn't to roast you, Ryan Paola Higgins. This is cover my ass.
No, roast his ass.
But I'm about to like give him a shout out. Was the first game I am credited on. I helped the dev team
Oh.
with how lawn tractors work. Oh, that's really cool. The game has been on Xbox for a while and is launched on PlayStation today. That's really cool. Big
That's cool.
congratulations, Ryan Paola Higgins. That's super awesome.
I've seen this game actually a lot on like TikTok with like people like making the joke of I don't, like usually like Latin streamers will be like, oh, or Mexican streamers will be like, I don't need to have a stereotypical job. I'm going to be a streamer. And then it's like they'll show them playing this game with like banda music on underneath it, and it's like the funniest shit. But also like simulators like this are like super fun. I think it's like really cool how much there is in the sim genre, and yeah, to like be able to have that specific knowledge set and like lend it to the game to like evoke more realism. That's really, really cool. So shout out to that. Like you always remember like the firsts of things. So yeah, like I mean that's like incredibly exciting to have that.
Yeah, I need a simulator for me. I need like a streamer simulator or like a content creator simulator. Why do I
That's
feel like
what
that
was
already
fun
exists?
about like that's Life is Strange True Colors DLC, because I felt the same thing like when I played the DLC after you, and when I was playing that I was like, yep, we're at work, it's like it's ad read time, like you're there's like the crushing loneliness. I'm like, it's got it all. I mean, I don't
The
really
crushing
have that,
loneliness
but
is like a very key part. That's a really good one to shout out.
yeah, like just sadly swiping on your phone. It was perfect.
Oh my god, it's perfect. Janet, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of PSW XOXO. Where can people find you and your work?
Well, you can find me across the internet under the handle Game Onysus. That's Game ONYSUS, where I'll be maybe streaming any of the games I mentioned on Twitch, but I don't know. So yeah, stay tuned.
Hell yeah. Remember, this has been PS Love You XOXO, your PlayStation podcast. Each and every week, we get together to talk about the hottest topics in PlayStation. We've got a Patreon post show for those that are subbed at the silver level of patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames. So stick around for that. Otherwise, until next time, peace out.